Good evening. This is November 18th, 2025. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board, 5:04 PM. Can we have an approval of tonight's agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Right here. Was there a second?
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Sherwin to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, Mr. Grace? Aye. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Sherwin?
Aye.
Mr. DeCosta?
Aye.
Ms. Mayo?
Aye.
Mr. Franzuto?
Dave, you're on mute.
Dave? Chair votes aye as well. Dave, do you hear us? Draft minutes. October 21st,
June 17th.
June 17th, and May 20th.
Yeah, we did May 20th already. I didn't realize that. Just those two.
Everybody have a chance to look at them. Any suggestions for revisions or motions to approve, please?
Make a motion to approve, June 17th. I'll make it for the 21st.
Motion's made by Mr. Anderson to approve June 17th minutes. And a motion's made by Mr. DeCosta to approve the minutes of October 21st. Do we have seconds on these approvals?
I'll second.
Seconded, second for both of them by Mr. Sherwin. All in favor, to approve October 21st and June 17th, Mr. Brace?
Aye.
Mr.
I have a
Anderson?
modification.
All right.
Question on the October 21st. It showed that we were all here, but there were only 6 noted in the minutes. So I'm not sure why there were only 6 versus 7. And then my other question, in the old business section, I'm making a motion, it says it's raining versus raising. I would change raining to raising,
Okay.
other than that. So.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you for thoroughly reviewing, Mr. Anderson. Any other revisions? Mr. Brace is in favor, Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Sherwin,
Aye.
Mr. DeCosta,
Aye.
Ms. Mayo.
Aye.
Mr. Franzuto, you on board?
Still muted, Dave.
Dave, we can't hear you.
There he goes. We can see you, but we can't hear you, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Our speaker on?
Mute, we can't hear you. Chair votes aye. Hopefully, Mr. Franzuto figures out what button to push. Anything from the Marine Department? Natural Resources Report, please. Tara or Jeff, both. Thank you for being here tonight.
So we've been busy doing end of season stuff, mostly getting our water quality position ready to post. We turned in a grant yesterday with the Great Harbor Yacht Club Foundation and just been like focusing, we've had some meetings with like Mass Waster Project and catching up with some organizations on the island. As far as the fishery goes, we've been averaging around 20 boats, give or take, per day. I think the opening price is at 25 now. At least this week, close to 25. At least that's what I've heard. The average bushel per day, if everyone's going minus like a couple windy days, was just over 100 bushels per day. And let's see, what else do I have here? Average time getting a single limit is around 2 hours. There's 20 fishable days this month. I've heard that things are looking healthier. I think they look healthier. I haven't seen any Dalmatian scallops this year. And there was a stranding, it's pretty minor up in the head of the harbor. We found it on the 7th when we were poking around after all the winds. It was kind of right off of 86 Wauwinet, so it was that pier up there in the head of the harbor, just to the left of that, in between the pier and the pink house. And we ended up getting around 50 bushels out of the shallows. It was like in 2 feet of water. The tides went really great that week. We moved those over to Fifth Bend, First Bend. And then the weekend hit, and then we went back out on the 12th because there was more winds, and we found the seed that we had been moving had moved down to toppers and Wauwinet. And there was probably about 25 bushels worth on shore that had been like dead and washed in and out, so it was pretty shelly. So we just recorded that as a loss and the amount that we had. We tried to see what was in the rack, couldn't really tell because there was so much floating around that you couldn't really get in there. And then we went back up last Friday and they moved some seed from the shallows, but again, it was like 50% shallow. So we're hoping that, you know, I hope that there's more seed behind that at some point that, you know, is still coming, and that wasn't just it. But that's what happened. I considered it minor in the realm of what we get for stranding, so we didn't really feel the need to raise the red flag. We did send out an email to all the commercial growers saying, letting them know that there was seed up there, and if they wanted to go up there and check it out or move a little bit and just offer an opinion, that would be appreciated. And so that went out, and that's where we are today.
That went to the fishermen or to the to the oyster guys?
I went to everyone that has a commercial scallop permit.
So I never got that. So.
From
Okay, it came from
Maybe it
Lisa.
went into my
Yeah.
spam, but I never got anything about stranding, so.
Did you get the dredge email?
Nope.
You better check your email.
Well, we might, I'll check it
There's
again.
no E on Albacore.
Yeah, I'll just,
Sometimes.
There's about like 8 accounts that get kicked back every time, so I'm not sure if
Yeah,
they're
we have a
real
list.
accounts anymore or not.
So sometimes when you put it in, mine's Albacore, no E in it. They don't add the E and then that's why it kicks it, so.
Sarah, I see a head shaking in the audience, Mr. Anderwald,
Yeah.
indicating he did not get the email as well. Jared, do you foresee a red flag day for seed relocation?
I don't right now. Unless we see something additional later on in the year, I haven't really seen any seed like grouped up in that way.
There's nothing in Wauwinet that we wanna move.
I mean, we'll probably go back up, but unless there was another band behind that band that went up, I don't think that there's anything to worry about right now.
I think on behalf of the board, I'd like to say, I'm really glad the department has a vote. And that all this effort is going in from your department to move the seed. I think that's just phenomenal. Jim?
I was just gonna say, just for discussion, if Tara warrant that we should do the red flag to move seed, I feel like we should. You know, it's a tough subject, but I just wanted to talk about it now. And if we do have to do it, it's to recommend allowing a Saturday day after the seed moving for people who did do it. You know, so they don't lose their day's work. I don't think that happened last time. I think that should be the standard practice in the future. If they have to move seed and lose a day, just allow it on Saturday after.
We did add it into the regulations saying that add the mechanism for the discussion.
Okay.
For that, we didn't say it was an automatic yes for that in case it was like, you know, there was a stranding on a Friday and we needed people on a Saturday,
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
For multiple days, so.
I think it's more what. My
I'm
thought
not
is
sure if they're hearing you on.
if we have
If you want
seed that
to
we
unmute and speak up,
think could
please do.
potentially strand, not an actual stranding. That we wanna preemptively move like we did a couple years ago,
Yeah,
then that. When we're gonna plan a day to say, okay, today's a red flag day, everybody's gonna receive, everyone who actually participates in move seed.
Right.
should get a hall pass to go fishing that following Saturday.
Okay,
If you
I'll try
didn't,
to do
if you
that.
didn't come out
Just
and
keep
move
it
seed,
on.
you don't get to fish on Saturday, but if you can get 20 guys there, although 20 guys is the whole fleet, we get 15 guys there to move seed on, say, at Wednesday. Because we want to keep it from stranding, because it definitely seems like if we move it before it goes on the beach, we get a lot higher survival rate than after it goes on the beach and gets full of sand and everything else.
I agree.
Then I would like to throw the guys that are moving at a bone to say, you know, you're gonna move seed for 4 hours on Tuesday and you can't commercial fish. Then you get to go on Saturday, make up for the day.
I also feel like it, probably survives better if you move it early in the year than later in the year. Where it does maybe piles up and kind of suffocates in the weather.
I agree. There's just
Sooner.
like a judgment call and I'm only one person to, evaluate the whole harbor and all of the sea because no one else is looking this time of year. So I don't want to make the call to say I'm putting up the red flag and then have people go up there and be like, oh, it's not that much, like you're wasting our time. So I feel like if there's a situation where it's, could go either way, it'd be nice to have one or two people go up to like kind of offer their opinion as well.
Well, if we had a nice day next week, I will go up there.
Yeah. We go up on not nice days.
Did you want to go yesterday?
We did not go yesterday.
I will say that. You asked at our last meeting, from your surveys, you see a lot of seed. And, I'm seeing, from throwing dredges, seeing a fair amount of seed in different areas, good size seed too,
Big.
healthy, big seed,
Mhm.
which. Not the little stuff, this stuff should spat pretty well in the spring. A lot of 1.5 to 2 inch seed, 2.25 inch seed. So there's quite a bit of it around in pretty much all the areas of that. Throwing dredges.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Anybody else on the natural resources report? I've got Dave on the phone. He can't unmute. So hopefully he'll be able to speak through my phone. Tara, just curious with some mentioning of seed here. You mentioned, I don't know how long ago, about researching testing DNA to be able to figure out if seed that's out there or scallops are natural or coming from your hatchery. Any progress on that, knowing that, or do you know if it's even a possibility or not yet?
I mean, it's tricky. There was a project that we were working on quite a few years ago that got stalled out because of the pandemic with UMass Boston, where they were working on a fingerprint type situation on using the shell. But that didn't get really completed. And so there's different ways that you can track the larvae. But the one main way that they've been using is using this particular type of dye that fluoresces at the hatchery stage, and then you can release the larvae and then it will imprint on the shell and we can also track it that way. But it's been the chemical that they use is no longer allowed and it's
Yeah,
and also,
Let's not put that on.
Yeah. It's very commonly used in like oysters and oyster tracking, but it's not allowed in bay scallops, for some weird reason. So there's that, yeah, aside from doing like different types of shell marking tests and stuff like that, it's pretty difficult to
Yeah.
track larval dispersal. There's a lot of different computer models and stuff like that you can do.
Just curious, because that sounded very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'd be curious about survival rate as well. But it seems like, the fishery has really sustained and so let's just hope that between natural and what you make, that's why it's still in existence. Any more discussion about the red flag and seed moving? Because I know, Jim, you wanted to have it on the
I think-
agenda and,
I think that was kind of it. I just wanted to discuss it and if we needed to do it, what the protocol was gonna be as far as flag going up and the Saturday afterwards, and that's kind of all I was looking for in that. You know,
Okay, and if we need to talk
decide
about
we-
it more at the next meeting, we certainly can. Um,
And I wonder if it'd be a good idea just to add a new category on the agenda. So you have all the reports and all that, just have one for, just call it like fishery actions. And then you could put in parentheses, put, stranding events, red flags, just something general. And then can kind of keep it rolling. So at least it's all there. And that way if it comes up.
fishery action usually as a title, that sounds fine. I mean, we created hell for them.
Current topics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just something that has that kind of catch all, that way it's kind of always on, and if
Mhm.
there's nothing that goes into it. Like Health of the Harbor, it kind of doesn't really have anything in it. They don't
Right.
have To do anything, but if there's something that's needed,
Mhm.
it at least is on there so people can expect it. You guys will talk about it.
I thought the siege stranding possibility is more of a very quick action thing coming up, but what they're
Yes.
saying now doesn't sound as.
No,
serious as
and
they
believe
said
me,
before.
Jim, every time, you call with an agenda item, I wanna entertain that. It's always a good one, and it just happened to be. A half hour after we submitted, so.
Yes.
Quickly, Tara, you mentioned, no Dalmatians being out there. Any of you active
I
fishermen
haven't
seeing
seen
any in the
any.
shanty?
Two total. Just two.
And Tara, is there any result of the studies on those, possibly why it happened, or?
It's, from what I understand, it's an expression of a parasite that originates in the kidney of bay scallops, and it can migrate outside of the kidney, and so occasionally you'll find it in the muscle, but it's not harmful to humans, and it's not really the primary cause of mortality. If they have it, it's usually like in Long Island, they have a lot of it, and it's usually, when it's coupled with things like thermal stress or after they spawn and then the water's warm and they have this kidney parasite, it's like a compounding effect. But as of right now, like, I feel like it's everywhere, but it's not causing a disease problem or a mortality problem for us yet.
Great. Good information. Thank you, Tara. Dave, anything for natural resources report? You hearing us, Mr. Franzuto? Oh, wait a minute, there we go. Sorry, I didn't have you on speaker.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. If there's nothing else in natural resources report, we'll move into old business. Commercial base go bushel limit, we're simply gonna discuss whether, it's, wise or not to increase to 6 bushel from 5. And we really need to, hear data from fishermen and from natural resources on this. Who'd like to open this up?
I'll
Mr.
start.
DeCosta, please.
The weights are good. I would leave it right where it is, at 5. That's me, speaking as an individual, not as a SHAB member, because affects me financially, but.
Andy.
The weight's good, the
Just a second,
the
Dave.
count. Of the boats is smaller, there's definitely not as many scallops as there was last year, so I would.
Wait a minute,
say-
Bob. He
can make
Dave
wood-
can't hear you. Where's our microphone?
That's a big point thing.
Is it in the owl?
That's
got a short.
That's not moving.
I'll just speak up, so
Alright.
I think that the weight's good. There's definitely not as many scallops in the harbor as there was last year, just no doubt about that. And the price is good, so I would leave it right at 5, I wouldn't move it. I think we're good where we're at, guys are making good money. If we go to 6. Oh, we may cause a problem with the prices and. The whole reason for me ever to go with 6 was last year we were averaging 30 pounds out of 5 boxes, and this year we're getting 35 to 40, so. I think. Everything's good just where it is.
This is good to hear. Several guys, on the street, active fishermen have voiced exactly what you just voiced. And then there are a couple that feel, it should be increased because they're out there. Ultimately, after Tara showed, the graph, I would wanna see that zigzag line above the bar created, which it was not from your surveys, Tara, so, and if, if the select board has already been informed that we would not request an increase until that zigzag line goes above the bar set, then it's probably not wise that we do request, so, any more discussion on, well, actually, I'd like to just add one more thing, if there have been, and Jeff, maybe you can answer this, exceeding high ground box issues, is everybody kind of, being conservative about their crowning,
I
so
don't think
that,
there's been any issues at all.
so the swinging stick may not come out,
I'll just come back.
okay? Jim, anything you wanna add? You've been getting in early,
Well,
but,
speak as a member of the public and not as a shadow
Yeah.
member for this, I would mostly agree with everything Bob said, as far as, I don't see a huge amount of resource out there for this year. I'm not gonna discuss the price or money wise, but I don't see the amount of scallops that we had last year in the harbor yet. Unless we find some large area that we don't know about yet, I don't see any reason to increase the limit. As of yet. For some reason, we happen to find a ton of scallops wall in it somewhere. I think we can revisit it, I think. To the end of 5. Where Natural Resources has their benchmark and what they saw, I think is fine.
We're beginning week 3 of the season, but we've also had an immense amount of wind. So even though we have a small fleet, we've had even smaller fleets on most days. So, anyone that thinks there's an abundance of scallops out there, I think that in another couple of weeks' time, everyone's gonna be getting in much later, so there's no reason to release it, because we think we're gonna got this windfall of scallops. It's not like last year where you were going 4 boxes and tow and done it everywhere, quarter of 8, that's not there, so.
yeah. Scott,
Or did anybody submit their catch reports?
No catch reports, but I do have, our departmental reports right now, so if, I might, send out another notice and for like November, December, maybe in December, just to get 2 months, just for comparison. I have not heard from anyone, which I take as a sign as like there aren't a lot of scallops out there, because usually if there's a bushel increase or people want it, they let me know. So I was hoping that there would be a ton of scallops in places that weren't in our surveys, and still hopeful that there is. The benchmark was set, I think. That you guys should know that we're thinking about this in a variable kind of way too, because. The fishery is changing year to year with the amount of people fishing, and so. The benchmark that's set for right now is set for the number of people that are currently active in the fishery, and if that changes. Then, perhaps that number will also change, so it's like a flexible model too.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Franzuto,
unless if I missed it, I'm sorry. What's the weight that everybody's getting right now?
35 to 40.
between 35 and 40 pounds, $5 limit.
That's good. That's reasonable. My recommendation would be we stay at 5 too.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Anybody from the public want to speak on this?
I agree.
Okay. All right, I don't see any reason to take a vote. Or unless somebody wants to propose,
We don't have to take a vote if
No.
we're gonna go to 6.
right,
So because it's 5,
Mhm.
we're just making comments on that.
yeah,
So,
unless somebody wants to propose to change the limit. Do so now, or we'll move forward in the agenda. Thank you.
Let's say real quickly. I
Please
think-
do,
I
Jack.
think the process that we used at the start of the season was really good. And I think we got a lot of good information
Mhm.
from fishermen and being out and around, and glad to see it working, I think, the way.
Yeah, I think as a model for future, this should just be like, we should automatically bring this up for our second agenda in November. And have a placeholder at the selectmen meeting the following night. And then we can use your data, and then we can use the first 2 weeks of actual fishing data to make a decision. Just like we're doing tonight. I think this is a perfect example of how this is supposed to work. And we found some windfall of scallop somewhere, we could have changed, made a recommendation. This board could have made a recommendation to selectmen, and they could have acted tomorrow night, and then it could have started next Monday.
Mhm.
So, this is a good template for the future.
And it doesn't preclude, right, if miraculously in January, if that comes up, we can always revisit it too. It's not, it's
Yes,
closed, it's closed.
yes.
No.
Well, if a lot of guys drop out, there's still a decent dividend.
For some, we find a pile of scallops and Mattocket somewhere or something that we don't know about.
Sounds like everybody from Attica is in town now.
Everybody is Bill Spencer, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the
Spencer Town, you know,
Souza
they're very
brothers,
good.
so,
And we've discussed too, that this may be a potential, talking about it with the health of the fishery too. If there are years where there are excessive red flag days too, for cold, that this may also be a good discussion to keep that local and not have to involve the Division of Marine Fisheries for things like extensions or things to deal with that at the end of the season.
okay. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tara. I think, you know, the dives you're doing before the season are also a big indicator in this, and, so, you know, thanks for getting in the chilly water and doing that, so.
Andy, while we're on old business, it's not on our agenda, but I was just curious where we're at with the app.
So we've had the guy out that's gonna install the gauge and set it up for like push notifications and things. And we're trying to get him back as soon as possible. We're hoping for that to all go live in early December. And then reporting app, I think, is separate, but I think we're.
That would be key, because like right now, if we had an app that I could just put in what I caught in the last week
Yeah,
on Friday, you would have instant data instead of estimating from what JC tells you.
Yeah, I met with the guy that was going to install the equipment, and he said there's also a mechanism to create a dashboard for the commercial fishermen if you did wanna like go online and look at the weather, but there's also, you could create push notifications on your cell phone if it was something you wanted to subscribe to, and we can put out stuff about temperature too.
Word.
Sounds good.
I just hope that by the time we get to cold weather, we have a
that's the plan.
simple, centralized thing. Okay.
As long as
I
the
think
weather
that-
keeps
I think-
cooperating.
I'm looking.
All right. Anything else? Their old business, new business. Chapter 1, licensing. An explanation for Shab. I think we may have some questions from Mr. Sherwin. Mr. Sherwin asked if I'd put this on the agenda. It's always good to refresh our knowledge, especially while we have Mr. Franzuto, who just kind of loves chapter 91 discussion. So, Jim?
I was coming with some general information on chapter 91. Might be a little tough for Dave to tell us, but maybe Jeff can tell us a little bit about what he knows as far as like where it takes place as far as in the harbor, like what's allowed under chapter 91, and just general information about it, like how can the public use the areas. Kind of looking for.
Can you hear me?
Try to speak up as best as you can, Dave.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I guess also enforcement, be my other.
All right, well. Any area, Jeff, feel free to jump in here. You're very well versed in chapter 91, but.
You want me to give it a go, Dave, and you can fill in since you're hard to hear?
Can you hear me now?
Plus a
Yeah.
wide cord, probably.
Can you hear me on Andy's phone?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Dave.
just barely, but yeah.
All right, well, Jeff is well versed in this, but, basically it's a license to ensure that the public has the rights to pass and repass, between the high tide and the low tide mark for fishing, fouling, and navigation. When you're issued a chapter 91 license, there has to be provided public access or an offset for public good. So in some cases, if they're unable to provide direct public access, they can make a monetary contribution that can be used for waterways improvement or shellfish improvement or whatever, into the town coffers. And they have to be, you'll see the signs around town, Old North Wharf, beside the Dreamland. Dreamland is a perfect example. They had to apply for a chapter 91 license. They had to provide some public good, which is why that park is there. So, is there a particular property, Jim, that you're concerned about?
I was just kind of curious about all of it in general. I didn't know that much about it. And I was also kind of curious about like enforcement of chapter 91 on Nantucket.
Another thing that chapter 91 does is under section 10A, which a lot of people in the harbor master business, they don't refer to it as chapter 91, although it's a section of it. They refer to it as a 10A permit, and a 10A permit is how you get a mooring. That gives the harbor master the authority to issue moorings. Moorings are temporary structures affixed to the bottom that you can, hook a boat or a float to, pending approval by the harbor master. So the section 10A permit is how you end up with being able to allow moorings within the designated areas of the harbor. So, sometimes you'll hear people talk about a 10A permit. The 10A permit's a mooring permit. We've had, it's enforced by the DEP, and Jeff has asked numerous times, and I, over the years, have asked numerous times for them to come and inspect. The last time they came, we had a laundry list of properties that we were concerned about that were not in compliance. And they went to all those properties. There was two penalties issued for non-compliance. The other very good thing about chapter 91, and we harped about this a lot in the harbor plan, is it's a good tool to make sure that the town and the public get what they want or get what they need from a developer. The chapter 91 license, for instance, for Great Harbor Yacht Club, where they're supposed to provide pump out services and fuel and the haul out facility capable of hauling a Coast Guard boat. The other big issue is the chapter 91 license for Codillac, where it's required that they provide marine supplies and services. It's right in the permit. The permit transfers with the property. permits are sometimes 30-year permits. Sometimes they're 99-year permits. They can be revisited, but it's a way for the public and the town, to ensure that the public is served by the entity that is granted the license. So
Okay,
it's a very, very good tool, although, like I said, the enforcement is almost impossible. We're actually looking, and Jeff can speak to this, we've actually looked at mirroring some bylaws and regulations that the town would have some regulatory authority, and Jeff can speak better to that than I can.
thank you, Dave. Mr. DeCosta.
The chapter 91 licenses in this town are a joke. They are, they're a joke. Great Harbor Yacht Club's supposed to have fuel, it's supposed to have a travel lift, and it's supposed to have a forklift. It's supposed to have emergency storage for storms. They have none of it. If I go over there during a hurricane and I ask Finger to pull my boat, he says, I don't have time to pull your boats, I'm only pulling my boats. They have no fuel, they don't have a forklift. Mattocket Marine doesn't have diesel fuel anymore. We have one diesel dock on this island. If the marina goes down, we have no way to fuel our boats. None. We can't take a truck anywhere. Supposedly we were gonna, oh, you guys can bring trucks down to Great Harbor and we can get them to fuel the truck. So I went through all the bullshit to try to get a truck down there. You know what Finger said to me? Well, who's gonna get the insurance? I'm not covering that. That's not under my I'm not doing it. Great Harbor says they're not gonna do it. Dennis won't back a truck down the road without insurance, so there's no way to get fuel out of a truck. And no one enforces these licenses. It's a running joke. We get a hurricane in August and they got a tent up on their lawn, and that lawn is reinforced to store boats on. They never store a boat in that lawn, not in a million years. They're getting $100,000 for a wedding there. They're not gonna take that tent down to put boats there. And no one does a goddamn thing about it. So, we can talk about chapter 91 licenses all we want. We got a 4-foot walkway around Great Harbor. They put tables in it at dinner time. Try walking down there and see what they say to you. I've done it. They get
Well,
all pissed off.
I've always gotten a
It's a
laugh out of the signs, public access and the
No
arrows.
yacht club.
Then you get
There's
to the,
no access through that fence.
Yeah.
They got a gate at Steamship and they got a gate on the other side of it. There's no access through
It
there.
doesn't say public access, it says pedestrian walkway, so you don't know whether it's public or not.
well, but then once you turn the corner, it
When-
says private property.
When I was a kid,
It does,
that was
yeah.
open from Steamship Dock to Children's Beach. You could walk through there.
Hmm.
They decided one day to put up a fence and no one did a damn thing about it. And now we have no access through there. Every one of these licenses is a joke. And there's nothing we can do about it because the state isn't gonna enforce it and we don't have the arm to do it. Correct? So.
Those are all enforced by the state.
Yeah, so we can talk about these things all we want, but the reality is it's not gonna do us a bit of good.
And you
If
can't,
that fuel dock goes down, I don't know what the hell we're all gonna do.
But Bobby, when you say they don't have a travel lift, what you mean is you don't have access to the travel lifts.
Right.
Because
So,
they have a travel lift.
I'll give you an example. One of the charter boats hit something with his wheel and he had to pull his wheel and get it redone. They pulled him. They took the wheel off, then they put him back in the water and we had to tow him back to his slip because they said, well, we don't want the boat in the travel lift. Why would have him serving lunch? So we pulled him back to his slip with no prop on his wheel. And then he had to wait and he couldn't go back. He couldn't get hauled until after dinner service. It's a joke. This is supposed to be a working waterfront. That building across the street was supposed to be so you could pull a boat in there and do work on it. You can't pull a boat on this island and pressure wash the bottom and paint the bottom anywhere on this island. Everyone takes their boat to the mainland to have it serviced because you cannot pull a boat here and do it.
So none of the inland boat yards have the cat basins for working on the bottom.
The inland boat yards do, but I can't pull my boat and take it inland because it's too tall to go under the wires. So I have to go to the mainland. It's,
Yes, where do we stand on trying to get some type of local control? I've said this before kiddingly, but I'm not kidding. I would love that job.
A lot of contention. So the idea that Dave's talking about, we've talked about a little bit at the Harbor Plan Committee, and tossed around where in effect through town meeting, we might try to create a bylaw that mirrors the state process for chapter 91, but then designates the municipality to enforce it, and it may be as simple as to apply for your local chapter 91 license. You have to provide the state license so that you can flip back and put it. We've asked town council to review if that's legal to do, to create that and essentially mirror a state process. Um. My gut feeling is that they'll say it is, and the state will say they don't really want us to do that. It's my guess, because they're like.
Because then every town's gonna wanna do it.
Correct. And, but I think Bob hit it on the head is, they don't enforce,
If Bob,
they don't, it's not just Nantucket, they don't.
Wait a minute, Dave.
boat fishermen, and myself, and members of SHAP got up to speak at town meeting, we get it passed.
I think it's the getting through the state attorney general process.
It's kind of like the fertilizer ban that's still sitting in limbo up there, yeah. Home rule edition.
Let me interrupt, Bob, but the difference between this and the fertilizer ban is these licenses are already on record on their deeds. They're required to do these things. And when I was a harbor master, I met with a lot of these entities on a yearly basis, Great Harbor being one of them. But you know, we've got to have a local mechanism to enforce it. And as far as Dennis Egan backing a truck down there or going to pumping fuel at Children's Beach, we had it set up with booms and absorbent pads and the whole thing, and then it just fell apart because he didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, then also we were at Children's Beach and one neighbor complained about the backup alarms at 6:30 in the morning. And then Great Harbor said, we're not gonna do the insurance. And then they were parking stuff in the travel lift, so Dennis couldn't get the truck down the thing and, you know, there's a whole complication of things. I'm not so much worried about getting a truck down there, Dave, as much as I am if anything ever happens to the fuel dock in the marina.
Yeah.
We're screwed. We really are. I mean, am I gonna be carrying 5-gallon jugs from the gas station to fuel my boat every day? I mean, that's, it sounds stupid, but that may be what it comes to, you know?
That's ridiculous.
You know, Madigan Marine used to have diesel fuel. They have stopped supplying, well, they still fuel Malesko's boats. But I've asked Chris, can I come out here and get fuel? And he said, no. No, I'm not, you can't come in here and get fuel. So, you know, they don't, which I understand, they have a small dock and it's shallow in there and they don't have a big tank, but. You know, Great Harbor's supposed to have fuel. And the
Yes,
minute
they are.
they built that thing, they took the fuel thing out and said, oh, we're gonna put it back, and they never had any intention to put it back in. And they don't have a forklift, and they only haul their own boats. Finger hauls those sailboats, that's all he hauls. Yeah, and a few others, Jim, the Endeavor, and I think that there's, yeah, I mean, most of the guys go over to Children's Beach and Mike Allen hauls them. The ones that can go down the road that are short enough to go down the road. But I can't get my boat down the road, it's too tall. Pete Kaiser can't get his boat down the road. You can get yours down the road. Anybody with a fly bridge or any kind of tower can't get down the road.
Something we gotta work on. It's insane, to be perfectly honest.
Repeat that a little louder, Dave.
It's something we've got to work on, Jeff, and the situation is insane.
At least need to have an emergency fueling plan if there's no way to get fuel to boat base, and it needs to at least have that.
Well,
Place.
I mean, hopefully we can come up with some short, quick fix that we get harbor fuel to come to Children's Beach or somewhere to fuel boats in the event that something catastrophic happens to the fuel dock. I mean, they're the supplier to they're the supplier to the boat, to the marina. They sell fuel to Christina and she puts it in her tanks. So if her tanks went down or her system went down, hopefully they would at least the commercial guys, but, you know, that's my biggest concern, you know, I fuel, in the summertime, I fuel every other day. That's, I can squeak out 3 days, but to be safe, I fuel every other day, and if I can't get fuel, I can't make a living.
How much fuel you,
I take 100, on average, 160 gallons every 2 days, 80 gallons a day. And I'm just one of 20 boats that do that.
Can you, excuse me, sorry. Mr.
please, Peter?
Is it feasible to have a harbor fuel truck parked down there, sort of,
At my slip and pump into my boat,
where,
or children's, or Great
you
Harbor.
wait till I get it out?
Oh, sorry, Peter.
Okay. Was thinking you're reading my mind or something.
Sorry.
You pull down, the street that has where the tanks used to be, and then you look up and you get the, Anglers Club up here, and then there's that big arm when you haul in a fish, and Dan Funk's boat's right there. Can you get
Absolutely.
could a truck come up there and then you could sort of pull on a parallel along that? Would the hose be long enough? Would that be a thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, and when I pull into any other harbor, Hyannis, Chatham, Falmouth, the truck, I call, there's 2 or 3 companies on the Cape, that will bring the truck down and they'll fuel you right from the truck. And they have 100, 200-foot hose. I mean, they can drag the hose down. In Nantucket, no one will let you do it anymore.
What do you mean by no one will let you?
Well, Harbor Fuel won't fuel you from the truck because they sell fuel to the boat basin, so they're not gonna cut their own throat. Dennis was doing it with us at Great Harbor, and then that went away because Great Harbor said, well, nobody's insured, and then Dennis didn't wanna do it anymore. But in the real world, like when I go to Falmouth, I pull up to the town dock and I call Rydell Fuel or Monomoy Fuel, and they come down with a truck and they pump it right into my boat at the town pier. And when I first started doing it, we were doing it at Children's Beach. And we were doing it early in the morning before anyone, you know, before boats started launching and stuff. And we did it for about 2 weeks. And then somebody who lived over there in that area complained about the truck backing up at 6:30 with a backup alarm, and the selectmen shut us down. So then we went to Great Harbor, and it worked great at Great Harbor for about a year. And then, it wasn't Finger who was in charge back then, I forget who it was, but they were parking like stuff in the middle of the ramp. So the truck couldn't get down to the slip. And then one morning we came and they had the launch in the slip and we couldn't get the boat in, and Dennis finally just had enough of it and he said, I'm not doing this anymore. So, you know, we had hoped for years, we keep talking about petrol landing.
Right.
We want a solid fill field petrol landing so we could back a truck down petrol landing and fuel. Now, technically, the fuel truck could back right down straight north and pump fuel into my boat in my slip. But the boat basin won't allow it because they sell fuel. Now, maybe if the boat basin had some kind of catastrophic event and they couldn't sell us fuel, they might let that happen until they got their system fixed. But it's still a concern of mine that, you know, we have one central fueling location.
Does the boat base, through you, Mr. Chairman, does the
Yeah.
boat basin sell fuel year round?
They do. I got fuel today. You have to
Okay.
make an appointment this time of year, but you can get fuel.
Saturday,
Okay.
Sunday, you can't.
Yeah, you can on the weekends.
What fears do you have? How are your fears founded that the boat basin will stop selling fuel?
Not stop, have an issue. They'll never stop. They're very good about stopping, but they have 2 tanks in that where the old tank farm used to be.
Right,
And the pipeline runs out to the dock. And if something happens somewhere along that pipeline
I see.
or
So,
the pump.
in some of the infrastructure failure,
Exactly. It would be a catastrophic event. It wouldn't be just, oh, we're not gonna sell fuel anymore.
it's not the will for them to do it. They want to keep doing it, obviously, but.
Correct.
So that sounds like maybe we should learn the condition of the infrastructure now to see if we can be ahead of that.
I guess I wanna back up and say that I have no issues at all with the fuel dock and the boat basin and their
Okay.
operation of it. They do a phenomenal job and they're very willing to work with us. Like if I called there yesterday and said, I need to get fuel because I'm going to Maine tomorrow. And they said, sure, come by between 1 and 2 and we'll fuel you. So they work with. It's the ability if something catastrophic happens.
Back up.
And really what gets me is the fact that Great Harbor is supposed to have fuel. It's in their chapter 91 license. They're supposed to have fuel since the day they opened and they've never even tried to get fuel. And no one enforces it. I've brought this up numerous times.
Hang on, Dave.
And it just.
That's what needs to get fixed right there.
It's Great Harbor, you're saying, Dave.
Right.
Yeah. Jim?
I just want to reiterate what Bob said about other harbors, like I've gotten fuel in Falmouth, my lobster boat, I've gotten fuel in State Harbor, gotten fuel in Hyannis, gotten fuel in Witchmere, all off the truck. You just tie up the dock, they give you the hose, you pump it in the boat, it's not a big deal. That can easily happen here anywhere it's allowed. In fact, so we have all our eggs in one basket with the boat basin, if something happened there, we're fully out of luck.
Well, all right, wait a minute, Dave. So Harbor Fuel, really, I can see them not wanting to do this because they're supplying fuel to the fuel dock. Dennis has been discouraged. Is there something that keeps you from having 100-gallon transfer tank in the back of your truck, filling up at the gas station here? And somehow, at Children's Speech, you don't have a backup alarm in your pickup truck, so
There's
can
that
you
law that
transfer?
says you can't transfer more than 12 gallons of fuel. From
12.
I don't know exactly what it is, but the fire department shut down Malesko because he used to do it. He had a farmer tank in his
Yeah.
truck. And he would do it at at Barrett's Pier,
Mhm.
and they shut him down.
No kidding, okay.
Fire department.
Mr. Chairman.
Dave, speak up.
Yeah, as far as when we had it set up with Dennis, I had it cleared with the fire department. That's why they carried the absorbent pads on board. Did Dennis Egan sell Sun Island fuel?
No,
I think he kept the fuel business, right?
Dennis is still in the delivery truck.
All right, well, I don't know. When I get back in 2 weeks, I'll go talk to him or something. Bob, maybe you and I can go talk to him, at least on an emergency basis. But then I'm also gonna go talk to the Great Harbor Yacht Club manager again and find out what it's the same guy. We're gonna
Steve.
find out what the hell is going on there.
Stephen Priest.
He'll tell you, Dave, that it's not him. It's Eric Finger who runs the travel lift stuff. And because we started to try to reinvent the fueling off the truck there. And I talked to Sheila and she was gonna put the booms and everything back down there like it was. And then it turned into well, I'm not gonna get the insurance to do this. And so you guys are gonna have to figure that out. And then it just died there.
Eric Finger, when that license was written, it's written for Gray Lady Marine. But and subsequently whoever took over that operation from Mike Allen, who now is this Finger guy. I personally don't care whether he wants to get the insurance or not. But if there was an enforcement action and we told him, okay, you can't operate your other operations there with the travel lift and everything else, unless you provide fuel, but we don't have any way to enforce that or even bluff.
All right,
Yeah, I get 2 questions.
Peter.
Number one. Can a fuel truck go down to Steamship Authority and do you right off the pier there in the front where the tugs pull up the barges?
If the steamship authority allowed you to do it,
So
I
that's
don't know
one,
who you'd have to ask to get permission to do
but
that.
that's one thing we could ask. And then the other question is, if it's an enforcement issue and it's DEP, can't we just file a complaint and say we want this done and say we want some enforcement? Or has that been done before?
I've gone to selectmen numerous times about this, and I think it's fallen on deaf ears.
Well, why go to the selectmen? Why not
Because-
go up to DEP first?
Well, they're the ones that would go to, my understanding was you have to go to selectmen and they would go to the DEP, is that correct?
I mean, you have the ability to file that complaint with waterways, but waterways is typically in the past either. They don't have enough people, right? This is what ultimately comes down to a waterways. There's not enough people. And the thing we always hear out here for Nantucket is. It's too much of a hassle and the cost is too much to do it. So we're not gonna come unless there's a bunch to do. And the last time that Dave and I got them to come down, I mean, Dave, how many did we have on the list? About 11 or 12?
Right, yeah, it was something like 10 or 11, yeah, yeah, 10.
Well, maybe it's a thing where it sounds like it's a pretty serious thing for all, all the charter boat guys and, Jim and with Dan Frank and, I mean, can we get our state representatives involved? I mean, it's in their chapter 91 license and they're not doing it. I don't understand what the issue is.
I think if I could, I think there's two issues. One of them is the chapter 91 issue. I think we talked about that at length and. I think we can have a plan to try to get enforcement to that, but I think Jim said it earlier. We also need to develop. Some sort of backup plan, right? We need to talk to the steamship or find a way or get the boat basin to at least agree in writing somewhere that if the fuel dock is unavailable for whatever reason, that we can back trucks down straight with, or we can do what we need to do to get fuel to boats. Whether it's an emergency or whatever situation, if they're just not in service. And that people have an expectation of what's gonna happen or where to go, right? If no one knows what's going on and people need to get fuel, people need to know where to go. So I think, at least what I'm hearing in this discussion, those are two steps that need to happen. And I'm sure as we go through those two steps, another one will probably pop up or an opening, and it sounds like probably something, at least for diesel fuel on the west end, needs to get figured out too.
Well, not necessarily, because most of us can't get our boats in there to get fuel anyway. So the only ones that need to get fuel in the west end are getting fuel in the west end. But. Again,
And also not to make any light of Great Harbor's stupidity, but also the chandlery at Brand Point Marine, or whoever owns the damn thing now. But that in other words, whatever actions we take, and maybe there's some other chapter 91 licenses that are not being fulfilled either, but those are the two important ones as far as I'm concerned. And also, don't forget, Bob, you alluded to it, but don't forget, also in that, I wish I had my laptop, I'm sorry, because I have the chapter 91 license right on my home screen. They're supposed to provide emergency haul out upon request and have a haul out procedure reviewed annually and approved by the harbor master. So there are additional issues other than just the fuel.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of notes being taken here, and maybe we should continue this to our next meeting. I think we've discussed a lot here. Anything else last minute on this particular item somebody wants to add?
If it would be helpful for the next meeting too.
Mhm.
I probably have to do some updating, but I think I have a list of all of the licenses that abut both harbors. There are inland ones too, we don't get into those, and there are weird ones that like the Dreamland, because it's within filled tidelands, but
Yep.
they would be on the list too, but then at least you can see where they all are, and I will be the first to say, there are a lot of structures on Nantucket that should have chapter 91 licenses that do not. That's another problem for a different day. Like all the cottages on North Wharf should all be under
Big-
chapter 91.
The only one that I have a constant dealing with is the boat basin. And one of the reasons that I know is because they have to have 10 commercial slips, and that's how the charter boats qualify under that. And one of the things it says in the chapter 91 license is that we have vehicle access to our boats 24/7. And we can drive down that wharf in the middle of the day, even when the Highline boat's coming in. It pisses the people on the Highline off, but we have that ability to do that, and they let us do it. They don't stop us. So we have access to our boats with our vehicles to load and unload things. And there are the 10 slips. There, as far from what I can see, they adhere to their chapter 91 license pretty stringently. But there are other groups on the island that just, there are lots, they take them, they don't care.
I would say the boat basin and the land bank do about the best job sticking to all their permits.
I remember, I mean, walking out to the very end where the big boats are and they have the gate there, it's closed to the public. You could walk through the gate and nobody would bother you. I remember Dave saying it's not supposed to be shut down to the public because of chapter 91. But I guess there
Go
was-
through it.
Yeah, well, there was.
Put it up there to kind of like deter people from going through.
Yeah.
If you want to go through, you can.
No, which I have every summer, but actually last summer there were young people climbing aboard the boats without permission. So they ended up having like a security person at that gate. Which is unfortunate, that there's always, or often sometimes a bad apple that ruins it for everybody, because it's nice to go down and look at those yachts. But anyhow, anything else on chapter 91? We'll continue it into the next meeting. Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee meeting update, Mr. Brace.
What did you want me to say?
Well, I just had noticed there were some things, out there in the media. Just wondering if there's any update at all.
Well, I mean, what's out in the media is our priorities list. Projects, that we want to get to, first, and we did it last year. And nobody batted an eye. And this year we put it out there and lo and behold, the current to the story on it, which I thought was great, somebody's actually reading the plan besides the committee that created it. So it's basically a list of priorities. We decided not to number them and say this is the top one, but at the top it's stormwater and sewer. So that's what that is. That's why there's a story in the current, and I think maybe the Inky did one, but it's us saying these are the things we need to work on the most as soon as possible. And it's 10 things.
Mhm.
And there were things on last year's list that weren't listed on this list. And that's because those 3 things, there's actually traction and movement on. We've gotten a grant now that will help with erosion control at the sewer beds. We are working on headed toward permitting or design and permitting of the Francis Street Beach storm barrier, as well as the Easy Street project. So those things, and I said that we shouldn't take them off the list. They should be listed at the bottom with an explainer that these things are being worked on. They're not out of our, they're not any less important. It's just that, they're in motion, they're happening. The other things aren't, nothing's happening really yet. So, but it's just to let the public know that these are the things we care about the most right now. But it's all from the plan, the coastal resilience plan, which the select board adopted in 2022, January 2022. So.
Thank you, Mr. Brace.
Chairman,
Dave, speak up.
yeah, whenever you're ready, I can give a quick brief update on the harbor plan.
Go right ahead. If there's nothing else on coastal resilience, any questions? Quickly, Dave? Cause we don't have it on the agenda.
I'm sorry, it's that coastal zone management for federal consistency review. And a draft has been sent to the DEP for any tweaks before it goes to the Board of Selectmen for approval. So it's moving along.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Is that all for now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you like that to be on the agenda at the next meeting?
No, I'll just,
Okay,
Actually, Dave, could we? I think we'll have an update for them by then.
okay, good. Okay, thanks.
through the NRD report or,
Sure. I can do that.
okay. All right, public questions or comments? Mr. Fitzgibbon, anything? No, the only thing seeing you here was it 2 weeks ago, Jeff? Or 3 weeks, a month ago, meeting you were at, and you mentioned the request you may be putting to DMF about the winter oversight becoming
Yep.
year round.
So that is scheduled. We've requested to get the date set for the public hearing that the select board has to have for that, for DMF's instructions. We're just waiting to get that date back from the select board in town Hammond, but hopeful that it will be either in December or January. No, they're just trying to get that special town meeting and clearing up that mess before they put tackling and stuff, but we'll
Yeah.
definitely have that in place before the cutoff for this spring.
Thank you, Jeff. Anything else from the board? Any items you'd like to see on the next agenda? Please call Peter or I prior to the Friday before the meeting. It's when we usually do it. If it's a long weekend, we do the agenda on Thursdays before the Tuesday meeting. Our next meeting's December 2nd, and then December 16th.
Can I just say, for if you have last minute, ideas. The way it works with filing the agenda is that the, people in town administration check the email at 10 and 2 on the day that it's due. So if, I think they're checking every day for that, and you usually do it on Friday, but if it's gonna be a holiday on Monday, then we'll do it on Thursday, so I was trying to get it in by 10, but that doesn't always work, but 2 is the backup. So keep that in your mind if you have a brain fart and you're like, oh, I want this, so. And you can text Andy or me.
Thank you, Peter.
If it is an emergency or something that does come up, if you let us know, we can reach out to those folks directly, and they're pretty good about
Yeah,
checking immediately.
I've had those emergencies where I've said. I turned it in at 3:30, it's the best I could do or whatever was happening, and Noreen was really good about, yeah, okay, no problem, so. Yeah,
Well, and if it can fall under discussion in natural resources report, when Jim called about the red flag and seed relocation, Peter and I decided, well, we could discuss that. Considering it's a hot topic with natural resources report anyway, so thank you for that. If there's nothing else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Somebody make the motion.
Data and
It's
section.
way over.
Yeah, all once.
Who made the motion?
Jim.
Jim, and who seconded? Motion's made by Mr. Sherlin to adjourn tonight's meeting, seconded by Mr. DeCosta. All in favor, Mr. Brace,
all right.
Mr. Anderson,
Aye.
Mr. Sherlin,
Aye.
Mr. DeCosta,
Aye.
Ms. Mayo, Mr. Franzuto. This meeting is adjourned, 6:13 PM. Thank you. Good night, Mr. Franzuto. Thank you to Jeff and
Good night.
Tara.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
The ball. Get back to the aqua.
They don't know.
Seems later than 6:15, but.
Was it?
All right.
Yeah. I think somebody told me that.